Hello everyone. In this video I will explain you about the DNS queries. DNS queries are the requests sent by a client to a DNS server to translate domain name into IP addresses, enabling the communication between the devices and the internet. There are basically two types of DNS queries, iterative query and the recursive query. In an iterative query, the DNS server resolves sends a query to a DNS server, and the server responds with either the requested IP addresses or a referral to another DNS server that might have the information. The resolver then sends the same query to the referral DNS server until it either obtain the IP addresses or exhaust all the possible servers. While in recursive queries, the DNS server takes care of the entire process and the client only receives the final request. So let's talk about them in detail. Here is the iterative query. Here the end server send a request to the local DNS server. Let's suppose that I am requesting the deacon.edu.in, and the local DNS server will send the request to the root DNS server. If it doesn't have, then it send a couple of TLD server IPs from where we can actually find our IP address. So when then we go to the TLD DNS server and we put a request here, and if it doesn't have, then it send a authoritative server IP which is received from the TLD DNS server. Then after that, it is able to put the request to the authoritative DNS server, which is of the token, and uh, and from there, if it actually able to find the required IP address, then it sends it, and the local DNS server will be able to return the required IP address to the end user. Now let's talk about how recursive query works. So in the recursive query, the end user will send a request that's the same as the earlier one, and then it contacts the root DNS server. But root DNS server doesn't directly give the address of the TLD servers. It automatically put a request to the TLD servers on its own to find the IP address, and the TLD DNS server will contact the authoritative DNS server to find the request. So that's actually a better option, as we don't have to contact the local DNS server. If the authoritative DNS server has the IP address, then it return the IP address to the TLD DNS server, and TLD DNS server will send it back to the root DNS server. And finally, the root DNS server will return the local DNS server, and the local DNS server will send the request back to the end user. So that's the main difference, that the iterative queries require the client to make subsequent requests to the other server until the IP address is resolved, while recursive delegates the entire process to the DNS server. So that's all. Thank you for watching.